wanna get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky! What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim.
Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for joining me today, December the 2nd, 2020, 12/2/2020. Tonight on the Rojan Kim cast, Sarah Cooper, the height of comedy? Yeah, it is. Well, Sarah Cooper, do you know who Sarah Cooper is? Some of you may not know. Sarah Cooper is a comedian who came to prominence on TikTok by lip-syncing Donald Trump. You know, lip-syncing her and then kind of making a mocking face as she does it so that we all know that she disapproves. We all disapprove of what he's saying and thinks he's insane, but then she's all doing it, and she's kind of like a black woman, a half black woman. I don't know. I don't see color, do I? Yes, I do. If they tell me to, I will. Yeah. Anyways, she's a beautiful, strong black woman or not, who now has a Netflix special. She has a career. She has millions of followers. It's the height of success. It's the height of what comedy is. This is what the mainstream is telling us, that comedy is supposed to be: lip syncing to somebody else, and then we can all share in mockery of that lip syncing. That's what comedy is. It actually reminds me of this is what discourse has been reduced to in our country. Our country discourse has just been reduced to like one side saying something and the other side going meh, 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 and then everybody goes, yeah, points. I mean, that's literally what happened to me on Twitter when somebody was like, can somebody tell me how we live in a democracy but we don't let the popular vote decide everything? And then I just answered, because we don't live in a democracy, we actually live in a constitutional federal republic, as defined by a constitution. And then the response was, I'm reading your tweet back to you, but in a mocking voice. And then that got like 100 likes. You know, my true statement got 10 likes. That mocking voice statement got 100 likes, which is indicative of the audience out there. These are the same people who love Sarah Cooper. These are the same people who want to do TikTok dances themselves. They've seen TikTok lip syncs, everything, lip syncing songs, lip syncing everything, just being a little automaton ape, and a little puppet. That's what people want to be. People want to be puppets. People don't want originality or creativity. That's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? They don't want people to threaten the boundaries of taste. You don't want to say bad words like tranny. Like, I can't call Ellen Page or call her a tranny. I have to call her Elliot and use his pronouns he, them, or whatever the fuck. Like, I have to do that. And I can't mock that either. I can't do lip syncing to that, because that is transphobia or whatever the bad thing is now. I'm a transphobic. I'm a racist. I'm a this and a that, So for some reason, those categories are available. Those tried and true categories are solid and available. But on the other hand, you're not allowed to break out of those categories. You're not allowed to present something that might be a head scratcher. Like me, I'm a fucking head scratcher, right? I'm just this Asian guy who doesn't talk like an Asian guy, doesn't act like an Asian guy. I don't say the things that I'm supposed to say. I don't try to get in good with the Asian American community of any kind, either the film community or the comedy community or even my own family. I don't really try to ingratiate myself with other Asians for Asianness, and then people are like, oh, he's a banana, he thinks he's white, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that. Okay, you unoriginal bastards. That's what you think. That's what you think, because you don't have a fucking creative brain cell in your whole brain. Your whole brain has been formed by years and years of media and television and people telling you what to think, and you are now convinced that you are the generator of those thoughts. I think this is what the kids would call an NPC, right? An NPC is a non-player character in a video game, the ones that repeat the programming, the ones that you can ask questions to but only have sort of like it's like a choose your own adventure with them. There's only certain answers they can give, and then you'll end up in dead ends, so you have to go back and ask the right question. You know what I mean? There's no spontaneity, there's no humanness, like a PC character, right? Like, am I saying I'm a PC character? Well, I'm not politically correct, but am I a player character? Am I in charge of my own destiny? Am I moving around? I mean, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm part of the programming. Maybe, I mean, there's no self, right? It's entirely possible there actually is no self. All of this is an illusion or a construct or a simulation or a devil's dream, a dream of demon. That's what Descartes originally formulated. You know, the story is he went into a basement by himself in the dark and was like, "What? Well, how do I know? How do I know I'm even real? Like, how do I know that this isn't, I'm not being tricked by a demon?" And he's like, "Well, I have no idea. I don't know. The only thing I know is I think, therefore I am. That's all I can know." That's all he said, right? And that's where we start from in terms of modern philosophy. We have no way of knowing if we're actually real, but we do know that we're thinking, so we must exist if we think. Unless that's all part of the programming too. I mean, isn't that... See, that's the thing, is that Descartes had to skip the demon, the problem of the demon dreaming, right? Which is essentially now what we would call the simulation theory, right, of existence, in that maybe all of this is a simulation. And not only that, maybe if you don't even have to have a simulation per se. It could just be maybe we live in a deterministic universe, and everything that ever happens, every choice you actually make is predetermined by all the atoms that go all the way back to the Big Bang that made its way all the way to here, right? And then Sam Harris talks about this a lot, where he's like, maybe we are all predetermined, so that a criminal being charged with criminal acts, you have to look into their past and see what it is that brought them to this point and not just judge them like any other individual. I have a lot of problems with that, because then I just feel like, well, what is that? There's no personal responsibility then, I guess. Then we just go and look into your past and be like, well, this is why this person murdered that person. Let him go. Like, I mean, obviously it's not going to be that cut and dry either. I don't have the answers. I don't really know. Smarter people than I argue this, but hey, I'm just here. I'm a guy. I'm here. I'm a guy. He, him. I'm a guy. I don't really care. I don't care. Pronouns. Look, have your pronouns, Elliot. Okay? Oh, you don't want to be called Ellen? Fine, Elliot. But don't make it so that Ellen never existed. There was a person named Ellen Page that got to this point, all the way to the Umbrella Academy, all right? Don't gaslight me and tell me that never existed. I mean, they're going back and changing all the fucking, all our credits are being changed. Elliot, the day one, she announced Ellen. Okay, day zero, she was Ellen Page. Day one was the transition to Elliot. Okay, and that was like yesterday or something. And since day one, all these articles come out saying he's Elliot. Elliot. Never Ellen. Do not mention Ellen. Ellen is her dead name. His dead name. This is a rich person. This is a rich celebrity. Look at that. People are strapped for cash right now. They're trying to decide if they're going to eat or pay rent. A lot of them were deciding not to pay rent and seeing where the chips fall where they may. And the eviction stuff, moratoriums are over. People are going to be evicted onto the streets. It's a pandemic. There's an economic crisis. There's complete uncertainty as to who's the president right now, uncertainty as to where this country's going, what's going to happen with stimulus. Are they going to fucking give us money or not? And if they do give us money, then doesn't that mean the currency is being debased so that all our money becomes worthless? So it's kind of a bit of a lose-lose. You got to give the people money, or else you're going to have fucking open revolt in the streets. And or if not, you got to give everybody money. And eventually you'll have wheelbarrows of cash, I guess, unless we're like Japan, we kind of eke out like 30 years of no growth, kind of get through 30 years of nothing really growing, nothing going down, just the central banks trying to keep it where it is, and I'm sure everything will be fine. Yeah, I'm sure you just keep devaluing the dollar, and everything will be great. It'll be great for me because I have student loans. My student loans... I have a 6-figure student loan, and soon that'll be worth as much as $1,000 now. So, hey, that benefits me. But will I make it to that point? Will people come and try to take my gold? I don't have gold. Will they come and try to take something from me? Take my shit? I don't have any. I mean, I'm trying to convert everything I own into Bitcoin. So maybe they'll come and try to take my Bitcoin from my cold, dead hands. Of course, I can keep my Bitcoin in the ether, right? It doesn't There's no, I mean, I have hardware wallets or whatever, but I can just break the hardware wallets and keep my seed phrase in my head, like I could do all of that. Anyways, I may have gotten off track. I'm going on about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, by the way, hit its all-time high and then kind of took a drop down, took a little dipski down. Now it's on its way back up, but most people believe that the bull run isn't over. The price is going to keep going higher. It's going to go high forever. It's going to fall back down. I mean, people are saying expect 35, 40% swings at this point. So you got to have diamond hands, as the kids say. Diamond hands, hold on. I mean, the thesis remains the same, whether it's precious metals, whether you're putting your money into art or land or, I don't know, slaves. Nope, can't do that. Well, you can in Libya. Thank you, Hillary Clinton, but you can't do that here. It's frowned upon. I will not condone slavery in America. Okay? 13th Amendment. It means something. Even though we are all slaves in some way to the financial system, we're all slaves to the media, the corporate media, to the government, to everything that we're being told, being slaves to this sort of cookie-cutter culture that we have, right? And I wonder why that is. Last time I was saying, maybe what I should do is just start lip-syncing to George Carlin, because why not? I mean, Sarah Cooper's out there lip-syncing to Trump. Trump is the last comedian left on Earth. There's nobody else doing the numbers he's doing drawing the crowds he's doing, fucking just riffing for 2 hours. Nobody's doing that. So maybe all there is left for me is to lip-sync George Carlin. So you can imagine me lip-syncing to this.
But there's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long, where they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream. because you have to be asleep to believe it.
There you go. That's what I should lip sync. That should be my new. That'll be hot 3 minutes from Rojan Kim. Just lip syncing George Carlin. That's if I did that, I could probably, I don't know, have a career. Maybe I get something. I think back. I'm 42. By all measurements, I could be called a loser. At least career-wise. Loser, total loser, don't have a job. At least I have love in my life. I got more than that, you fuckers. Huh? You got that? You got love in your life? It's intangible. It's worth more than any of the money that you have, I bet you would give up to feel just a smidgen of love. Real love. Somebody who respects and loves you, and not even like a childlike puppy love, but like an adult, real adult love. Consideration, communication. Things like that. How much was that worth to you, you fucking assholes? All right, sorry. I don't know who I'm talking to. But on the other hand, okay, fine. By objective measures, by measures of society, I am, a loser, a degenerate, bohemian, right? I'm an artist. I say I'm a comedian and a filmmaker or whatever. I say a lot of stuff. I say a lot of things into a microphone. And put it on the internet, and few people listen to it. But I get some encouragement as well. So, hey, that's where it is. So maybe that's what I'll do, right? But just like Carlin was saying right there, like creativity, originality, critical thinking, you don't want these things. You don't want things to rock the boat. You don't want things that you don't want people like Joe Rogan. See, that's why Joe Rogan is such a threat. Joe Rogan is considered a huge threat to the mainstream media because he's gone outside of the system. He talks for 3 hours at a time with people, and he provides more information and insight and discourse than you could in these little packaged sound bites, little packaged friggin' pundit shows, little highly produced, highly packaged, highly manipulative media presentations that they give. And essentially, if you think about what journalism now, it is lip syncing, right? It's people just reading off a teleprompter. These people are just actors. Even our politicians are simply actors. Look at footage of Gavin Newsom apologizing for going to the French Laundry to have his fundraising dinner. Look at him laughing. Well, he's like, I knew I should have known better. I should have known better. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, keep it together. Joe Rogan put out this video that I put up on my stories. A lot of people are sharing a video that this guy made. What the fuck is this guy's name? Do I have to look him up? Oh my God. Well, whatever. But anyways, the video is just about the hypocrisy of our leaders. So Newsom's on there, Garcetti's on there. Just found out about the mayor of San Francisco. I don't know she has some kind of weird hippy dippy name, but she's fucking also immediately went to French Laundry after telling everybody in San Francisco they shouldn't dine in. Then she went to French. This is happening over and over, and they all seem to be Democrats, mostly because this virus was politicized, and so the Democrats became the side of the moralists and the ones who are like, stay home and blah, 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 and lose that. And then, of course, they themselves don't do it. They themselves get to do whatever they want. It's just you, of course. And I've had friends tell me that, like, oh, man, I thank God that Newsom is giving us rules to abide by this holiday season. Thank God, maybe something will happen. Thank God. And, I've been railing about this, about how, like, we're all trapped in an abusive relationship now. We're trapped in an abusive relationship where we are told that any increase in cases, any increase in deaths, cases, whatever metric they use to say how bad this pandemic is our fault. Our fault, the people's fault. We're not complying. We're not listening. That's the reason why. Not because viruses run its course. Not because there's a natural curve of things in terms of like respiratory virus transmission that you can see with the cold and flu every fucking year, except strangely this year when there's 0 flu cases and tons of COVID cases. What the hell's up with that? Like you can see these patterns all throughout the history, through all the times that we've been collecting all this data about health. It's pretty consistent over time, except this year, for some reason, we have no heart cases, we have no heart disease deaths, but at the same time, we have the same amount of deaths due to COVID. Isn't that funny? Death from old age has gone down. Meanwhile, COVID has gone up the same amount. That's crazy. There was a Johns Hopkins study that was put up and then taken down immediately that showed this. And the only place you can find it now is conservative media or libertarian media. The fucking mainstream media, won't cover it, of course. Here I am. What am I now? Alex Jones, my Larry Elders. Larry Elders is amazing. You learn about him from Candace Owens. I love black conservatives. I love black conservatives and libertarians because that is exactly the type of mentality that I look up to or want to emulate myself. Or maybe I'll lip sync. Maybe I'll start lip syncing Candace Owens and become a huge hit on the right. But the reason I like black conservatives, black libertarians, is a lot of them tend to be freer thinkers than black people on the so-called left or center, right? And really, all this fucking identitarian shit, the fucking I'm a this, I'm a that, I just don't give a fuck about it, okay? It's tribalism. It doesn't matter. I didn't choose to be Asian or Korean. I didn't choose this. It happened this way. If I happen to be something else, would I think of myself as inferior? If I happen to be black, if I happen to be Latino, not Latinx, Latino is what I say to Latinx. Latino. You know why? Because that's some elitist bullshit. Latinx, he, her, them, him, theirs. That's all of that. Elliot Page, it's elitist bullshit is what I'm saying. And you know what? I think if I have to pick a side, I'd say I'm a populist. I am of the people. I mean, I want to be both. Like I said, in the Great Reset, I want to perform for our technocratic lords and our fucking Morlock hoi polloi. I want to do comedy for all of them. I want to do comedy for the I don't know. I guess they would be like transhumanist, cyborg, aristocrats or whatever. Whatever they are. Maybe they're all like merged into a little box or something. Like I'll still do. I'll be like, what's up with these meat sacks? God, they stink, right? And then I go and do comedy for the unwashed masses. And you're like, dude, we're being ruled by a fucking hard drive. Let's get in there, throw some water on that bitch. Like, ha ha ha, yeah. I love people, rich or poor, elite or whatever. I mean, I don't think I necessarily believe in this Hegelian conflict, Marxist view of history, right? The Marxist view of history is that it's all struggle and that the struggle will lead to a new thing. I think that's just everything. Everything is a struggle. I mean, it's not really, I don't know. It's always a struggle and it's not going to be what you think, right? Just because Marx said it's going to be between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's going to be. It could be between lip syncers and non-lip syncers. We don't know. PCs and non-PCs. That could be the new thing. We just don't know. We're in the middle of this and we're just feeling our way through a dark tunnel, through Plato's cave, right? We're feeling our way. We're watching shadows on the wall and being told that it's real. And we have no other basis to judge this on. We're like, I guess it's real. I mean, we would just assume it's real. Why would they lie to us? It must be real until a quote-unquote crazy person comes in from outside the cave and goes, dude, we're all stuck in a cave and these are just shadows on the wall. There's like a whole outside world with sunlight, and sunlight is lighting everything. And what would you tell that person? Get the fuck out of here, you conspiracy theorist, or you retard, or you fucking dangerous. You're a dangerous thinker. This person is dangerous. Lock him up. Stop him from spreading these dangerous thoughts, right? Stop them. And of course, okay, what is this? You just ranting and raving like a madman about originality, the death of originality and creativity, and how lip syncing is now seen as the highest form of art. What are you railing about that, you old man? Just get on TikTok. Get on TikTok. I can't. Okay? I'm 42. I'm not going to deny that I'm 42. A lot of people are trying to deny their age. They're like, oh, look, I'm lucky. I look young. Everybody tells me, you're so lucky. You look young. Well, I don't care. I feel old, and I don't care, and I like it. I don't care. Okay? Being young is overrated. Young people are retarded. Young people are stupid. Young people just do things they think they're supposed to do without realizing they're acting out a program. Young people are some of the worst NPCs in games, right? The children in Skyrim, they run around. They don't give you any information. You can't even kill them. You can't kill them. You can't fuck them. You can't do anything with them. Not like I'm advocating for that, but I'm just saying they're the worst ones. So there's this overvaluation of being young, being youthful, being like that's worth anything. It's not. It's not that. It's only worth it in that you're hot, Okay, you're hot and you have a future ahead of you. But what good is being hot and what good is that future ahead of you when you got nothing in your fucking heads, when your heads are fucking mush? You're not going to be hot forever. One day you're going to be a dumb old guy. Okay, is that what you want? It's great to be dumb and young. It's hilarious. It's fun. Oh my God, you just bounce back. It doesn't even matter. Nothing matters at that point. It just what matters except, girls, guys, whatever, getting money or whatever, whatever the values you put on things from your hip hop songs. It doesn't matter. It's once you get to an old, pathetic age where you look back on the mistakes of your life and you regret all the mistakes of your youth or maybe the opportunities you never took. And you're filled with regrets. Isn't like how much of a loser are you then? That's what matters. Did you stop eating double cheeseburgers around 30 when your body was like, I can't keep doing this? Or did you double down and keep eating them so that at 40 you could be 100 pounds heavier and then wonder, what do I gotta do to go weight? I'm so fat and so hard to exercise. Maybe I'm gonna read some books about fat critical theory and then just be like, yes, fat is a race. Fat is an identity that needs to be protected. And my feelings are hurt by you suggesting that I'm unhealthy, doctor. Right? Cancel the doctors. That's what they'll say. Round up all the doctors for hurting the feelings of the fat. Round them up and throw them. Like, this is where we're at. This is a value. We're bombing 7 countries around this planet, starving children, okay, in those countries, in other countries too that we have sanctions in, willfully starving children to death. Not only that, bombing them, bringing violence, explosive, deadly violence, poisonous uranium, depleted uranium rounds, just poison being generated from destroying things, rubble. Remember 9/11, all the people who got sick from the rubble of 9/11? Well, imagine how many 9/11s there have been in the 7 countries we've bombed over the past 10, 20 years. Imagine how much cancer, how much death and destruction, their lungs, how much all of that from the one time we were attacked 20 years ago. 3,000 people died. God knows how many people got sick. Now multiply that all around the world to 7 countries. That's what we did. Okay? That's what we've done. And here we are complaining about, don't say she instead of he. Don't say Ellen instead of Elliot. Don't call this person fat. Okay? Don't make a joke that might be off color and then get you accused of being a Nazi. Okay, don't do any of that because the president shouldn't say bad words or make people feel bad. Okay, we're going to a time of decency. Going back to decency. Okay, going back to time of decency of Joe Biden. Yeah, see, Trump is bad. He said grab him by the pussy, and you just can't do that. Biden actually grabbed a woman by the pussy and then put his finger in her. But you know what? He's a good guy, so we don't. So it doesn't matter what you do. It's how you say it. You understand? And this is the thing about the quote-unquote left, or it's polite society, what we would call it, but it's all optics. It's aesthetics. Obama was a great president because he looked the part, he sounded the part, he was black too, he did all of the right things. I mean, sure, did he expand the wars from 2 to 7? Did he oversee the greatest transfer of wealth in human history from the poor to the rich? Sure. Did he fucking help out the banks after the banks fucked everything up? And did he bail them out? Yeah. Did he go to Flint and drink the water, telling everybody, hey, the water's safe, everybody, the water's safe? And, of course, you think that was really Flint water. Meanwhile, Flint water, still dirty, still giving kids, there's lead in that fucking water. The kids are all getting brain damaged. Those kids are all going to become brain damaged adults. There's no hope for those kids. Okay, they've already got, it's bad enough they're in poverty. It's bad enough they're in Flint. But on top of that, they're drinking lead in the water like it's ancient Rome. If we were all drinking lead in the water, then it would equalize things. Then we could maybe be like Rome again. Maybe that, but it was one of those things that led to the fall of Rome. People they think it was the lead pipes of their aqueducts. The lead pipes of their aqueducts poisoned all the water, and everybody, maybe they got dumber and dumber. That could be happening. Why can't that be happening here? Maybe we're all getting dumber and dumber. There's poison in our water, poison in our air. They're about to vaccine everybody with Operation Warp Speed, right? Which is brought to you by Trump. He's not he's also a lizard person, no matter how much he's been standing up to the lizard people. He wants to be one too. That's all he wants. You think all right, anyways. The most important thing, while all this is happening, death overseas, death here, right, is feelings. Bad feelings, bad words. Use the right words. That's some elitist bullshit. That's really the concerns of the upper middle class. I mean, there's no middle class. The middle class is rapidly dwindling, right? Middle class is becoming poorer and poorer. The upper middle class is maybe trying to climb its way to the upper class. The upper class is trying to climb its way to that top 1%. The 1% is trying to climb its way to the top 0.01%. The 0.01% is trying to climb its way all the way to the party of Davos, the 0.001% who wants to bring about the Great Reset, digitize everything, crush everybody so that there's more poor, more and more poor, less and less middle class, more and more rich, digitize everything, data everywhere, I mean, if you really think about it, what is the function of destroying restaurants, small businesses, bodegas, gyms, all these things getting crushed? No relief in sight. All of it's being crushed despite the fact that the science isn't telling us to do that. That's not what science is saying. Science is saying, honestly, we should open up the schools. Science tells us that no matter what kind of mandate you put in, mask, lockdown, whatever, the virus seems to just go about its business. The virus is infecting people who are just sitting in their homes with masks on. So why not go out and live? The virus is taking not only people, but the lockdowns for the virus are taking even more people. I saw a study that said that you were 3.6 times more likely to die from lockdown-related things if you're between the age of 25 and 44 than COVID itself. So the cure is worse than the disease. And that's okay. See, that's okay. Let's crush the most productive members of our society who this virus doesn't even barely affect. Let's crush them all so that they're dependent. Crush them down, right? And for what? For what end? Right. It just seems to me that if I was writing this as a show, that they just want open revolt. It just seems that's what they want. They're gonna crush everybody to the point where they've got nothing, and they're just gonna come out in the streets and fucking just start shooting the place up, burning things down, and of course that will justify martial law. And you already have people begging for the state to come in. Please, state, come in and control us. Please, state, save us from the virus. And next it'll be save us from the rioters or the people running around, trying to destroy society who are only trying to resist what's been done to them. The fact that their livelihoods have been taken away. The fact that they've got nothing left in this world. They can't make money. They're not allowed to make it. They can't resist. They can't talk back. They can't they're going to get arrested for complaining or not wearing a mask or not complying, right? Non-compliance is seen as the reason why things are getting worse, when in fact it's the people in charge who seem to be making things worse. Anybody who calls question to that is also part of the undesirable class that should be taken away to a gulag. We've seen this before in the 20th century. We've seen this before. I come from North Korea. No, I don't come from North Korea, but my family was kidnapped from North Korea, right? My family escaped the communists. My family, right? They know all about this stuff. They know what communists can do. They know the dangers. A lot of Asians, a lot of Latinos, they know the dangers of what communism can do. A lot of Africans, okay? They know the danger of Maoism and communism. They come here and they realize, whoa, the state's not all up in our business. We can actually be free to say stuff and make money and do whatever, raise our kids. We can do all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, in this very country, you have a whole half of the body politic that wants to bring about those same authoritarian changes, wants that same overreach of the state, wants Gavin Newsom to personally come and make sure everybody is separate and not having a good time, and then he can go off and have a good time, which is exactly what happens in communist countries. You think, look, Kim Jong-un has all the money, all the food, he plays basketball with Dennis Rodman. Meanwhile, people are starving, right? Meanwhile, people have nothing. It's no different than any other autocratic regime. Doesn't necessarily have to be communist, just seems to turn out that way. I think communism is just a great racket because you can fool people into thinking, yeah, this is all for you, and then in the end, you just extract all the wealth anyways, right? I mean, it's not like that's not happening in capitalism, but at least in capitalism, at least with capitalism, looks like, there's some market forces, there's some element of surprise, of creativity, things you can't control, innovation that comes out of nowhere. We didn't know where phones were coming from, we didn't know the cloud was coming. We didn't know all this stuff was coming 10 years ago, but here it is, and it's running the world. And isn't that part of what the market should be? Not if you have a huge stake in the way things are, and you don't want disruptive change. If you don't want disruptive change, you want to do everything in your power to make sure that you control all the levers, and there's not going to be some upstart coming out of nowhere being like, look, I found this new way of doing things that makes everything cheaper, and then that person will be the new billionaire, like Elon Musk or whatever. That's it. They don't want that. They don't want that. Everybody who becomes a billionaire, everybody who forms a company that becomes a multi-billion, trillion-dollar company, what do? First of all, they try to avoid paying taxes, right? They try to move their money out of the country. They don't want you to get it. Next thing they do, they lobby the government, and they get in there. Like Eric Schmidt, co-founder of Google, is now part of great American think tanks. They're all part of this whole Great Reset thing. That's who they're consulting with. These people who were disruptive innovators 20 years ago. They were kids, disruptive, innovating. They become billionaires. They become adults. And what do? They turn around and try to make sure no one else can do that, right? They turn around and make sure that they have the monopoly. They turn around and make sure that that the innovation, that they can buy the innovation and not necessarily have innovation, hit them in the back, while they're not looking, and then take over. It's the last thing they want. You got to do everything in our power to make sure that the creativity of people, the critical thinking of people, is as low as possible. Just like Carlin was saying, okay, that shit that Carlin was saying was over 20 years ago. Over 20 years ago, he was saying this stuff. You think it's any different now? You think it's worse now? You think it's better now? I mean, it seems to kind of all coincide, everything that's happening with everything, what he's saying, the extraction of wealth, right? The fucking increase in state control, the increase in manipulation of information, the decrease in wealth in the common person, right? The dollar decreasing in value. You know what? If they can't just come and take it from you, what they can do is debase your money. They debase the money that you've been holding on to so that it's worth nothing. Not like anybody has money anyway. Everybody's living check to check. So since everybody's living check to check, why not just get the checks coming from the government? Why not? Well, I'll tell you why not. Something called the Great Leap Forward in China, right? When they had collective farms and they made everybody work in a farm together. I think I said this fucking last episode. But the whole point is, when you try to create equality of outcome, it just messes things up because people then don't need to work. When I was in China I was working on a movie, editing this video, I asked my friend, why are the restaurants here so shitty? Like, you think Chinese food, in New York, Chinese food was some of the best food, and in China, Chinese food is awful. It's shitty. There's better Chinese food in New York than in Shanghai. I asked my friend Jeffrey why. He said because there's so many people that there's no need to really compete and really step it up because you're just going to make your nut. So there's no mentality of I got to be the best and I got to make as much money as possible. The people who open restaurants are just listen, I get 100 people a day. Doesn't even matter if it's good or bad. I just make that and then I'm good to go. So everything is just mediocre. Everything in terms of what's accessible to the normal person. Now, if you want to pay buku dollars, you want to pay lots and lots of money, then you get some of the best stuff, which is similar in New York. But at least in New York, Chinese food was good. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's my same critique of New York is that you got to be rich to get really good food, and you can't really eat well on a poor person's budget like you can in L.A. Even though L.A. is expensive as fuck, food's fresher, so you can at least eat well. You can at least eat organic vegetables without having to pay an arm and a leg like you do in New York. And I think a lot of that is because of, not only do we have a proximity thing, being closer to the vegetables, but we have a freer market. We have a market where it's just people will pay a little more for the better vegetables, even if it's still cheaper, and then people kind of do that. There's also a lot of immigrants there. Immigrants love the fresh vegetables. There's a demand, supply. The market is working. If you take that away, if you sort of take all those incentives away, I don't know. I don't know how hard people will really work. I really don't know. I mean, maybe like Mark said, we'll be free to be more creative, and I know I would be free to. I'm basically doing what I would do if I got UBI. I'm doing a podcast nobody listens to. I'll do stand-up wherever I can, whether it's secretly or not, whether I'm being dangerous speakeasies. That's literally all that does. All the laws that we have now, all these laws that are going on, the lockdowns, everything that's going on is a repetition of what happened during Prohibition. So during Prohibition, alcohol was made illegal. So what happened? People just went underground, went to speakeasies, right? Went to speakeasies. Cops would come out and shut down these speakeasies, but the speakeasies made a lot of money. So started giving the cops a little money, giving them a little kickback, and the cops were like, okay, we'll go after these speakeasies. We'll go after your competition. How's that? We'll do that. And that's what's happening, right? I saw an article about how New York's underground club scene is bigger than ever, wilder than ever. It's probably more fun than ever because it's dangerous, right? Comedy's running underground too. Comedy's going to go underground. It's going to be more dangerous. It's going to be fun. It's going to be clandestine restaurants. You're going to have to fucking knock on a door, give a password so you could go in and have a fucking seared salmon. You understand? That's what, just to be able to sit at a table and be served and not wear a mask, we're going to have a series of passwords, code words, secret knocks, going down, they're going to put a bag over your head so you can't see where you're going, lead you to your table, rip the bag off, and then be like, today's special is, that's going to be the dining experience now, because that's what's going to happen. People, right now people are afraid, but it's starting to break. The fear is starting to break. The fear is starting to lift. People are being surge upon surge upon surge. But now we're being told that, maybe this virus was running wild last year before the lockdowns, and all that stuff they said was going to happen never happened. So what makes us think it's going to happen now? Everybody's talking about the ICU beds. The beds are, the hospitals are overwhelmed. It never happened. It never happened, and it's not going to happen again. You know why? Because ICUs are always kept above 90%. You know why? Because hospitals are a business in this country. We don't have socialized medicine. We don't have state healthcare, so hospitals are a business. Every single bed is a dollar sign. Just like in a restaurant, every single table is a dollar sign. And you can't keep restaurants at half capacity and expect them to survive, just like you can't with hospitals. Keep them at half capacity, expect them to survive. We need to fill these beds. In the beginning of the pandemic, when they didn't let any non-coronavirus related case go into the hospital, no elective surgeries, they'd fucking stopped. They were just preparing for a surge of people in the hospitals. The hospitals were going bankrupt. They had to start laying off people. The beds weren't being filled. You got to fill these beds. So all these news stories you see of the beds are being overwhelmed. They're at 98% capacity. They're 99%. If you look at graphs going back prior to the pandemic, you'll find that ICU bed capacity is similar. You know why? Because that's the business. Of course, that's not being told to you. Of course, the news doesn't tell you that. They only tell you the scary part, right? Everything's scary, okay? Everything's scary because that's what they think of you. They think of you as NPCs. That's what they think. They want an army of PC NPCs, right? That's what they want. They just want, don't know why. They want you to lip sync everything. They want you to lip sync the news just like the news is lip syncing talking points from the CIA. They want you to lip sync everything, right? They don't want a real thought in your head. They want you to be a mouthpiece. They want you to just be a blank slate, empty mouthpiece, say the words, the state designated words, the words that are the new speak, right? Not wrong speak, not wrong think, but the right speak, the right way to think, the right words to use, the right pronouns, the right this, the right that, bend the knee, raise your fist, put on a mask, do all the things we say. Meanwhile, we'll do whatever we want because we know better, right? We know better than we're the PCs, not you, the political class. The PCs, right? And we are the NPCs, the non-political class, right? The elites think they're better than us. The elites think that all you should really do is just be an empty parrot, empty-headed parrot of the words they come up with their Ivy League educations and whatever. I mean, I have an Ivy League education, so whatever. So I understand. These people are some of the dumbest people on earth, and they think they're some of the greatest people on earth. I know these people. They're worthless, okay? They fucking haven't had jobs. They have soft hands. They fucking can't hold, they can't even have an argument without it devolving into some kind of emotions, having headaches, crying, whatever. Just, Jesus Christ. They're children. The children. We're all permanent adolescents. Okay? We're all permanent adolescents because, I don't know, they're the best shoppers, really. They're the best shoppers and the worst active political participants. They're the most low-informed voters. They want that for everyone. They want everybody to be like that. So maybe the government can become mommy and daddy, start giving us an allowance. Maybe that's what it's all about. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a guy who, so far, since I have very limited reach, I am of no threat to anybody. Since I don't have many friends, I don't have many supporters, I don't have many listeners, I don't have many followers, I'm not a threat at all. You could just ignore me like Larry Elder. Don't ignore Larry. Larry Elder's awesome, man. Like, I don't know. I like the guy. He's he's like a 70-year-old black dude, but he's not doddering around. He seems to be a free thinker. He's witty. He's smart as fuck. Here I am praising Larry Elder. Look up to your elders. All right. I don't know. Listen, it just seems like everything's being run into the ground by the powers that be, by the state, by the people who rule us, right? Everything's being run into the ground in the name of protecting us. And then what? There's no lifeboats, no nothing. We're just going to all live in tents and shanty towns. They're going to maybe make sure we can't get guns or something. Really, maybe our only hope is really homeless people with guns, because that's what we're all going to become. So maybe that's it. Homeless people with guns who have trained coyotes. I think maybe that could stand up to the military-industrial complex. Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps everything is all for the benefit of humankind. People do care about us. Gavin Newsom is really sorry. Eric Garcetti does really pray for, Los Angeles. The masks do work, and the spike in cases from every time a mask mandate is put in place is because people are doing the bad things. The masks do work if only people would listen. Maybe that's all true. I don't really know. Doesn't seem like it, though. Doesn't seem like it. And it seems to be the harder position to take to be counter to that. It's way easier. God, it'd be so much easier if I was just like, hey, everybody, bend the knee and follow the rules. It's so much easier. But, I think, I don't know. I think, man, the lights are flicking on and on. I think there might be a power outage. I don't know. This is battery operated, so I'm still going good. Sorry. All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening to the Rojan Kimcast. Please follow me, Instagram, Twitter. Check out my stories. Go to YouTube, follow me, Spotify, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, I'll be back in LA this next cast, I'm sure. So, hooray! Going from a slightly locked down place to an even more locked down place. So, can't wait. All right, guys. Goodbye.